Hey guys, welcome back to On the Hook, and today we are working with Vermillion snapper. All right guys, so we're here at my fish cleaning station. Now at your house, I'm sure you don't have something like this. If you do, good for you. That's awesome, but I'm assuming you probably don't. But you can do what I'm gonna do here at your kitchen sink or in your kitchen just the same way. You're gonna need a couple of different tools. First is a fish scaler. So this is a legitimate commercial fish scaler. It's basically a spoon with teeth. If you don't have one of these, a fork would work nicely, or even a spoon if you needed to. Just be gentle that you don't bruise the meat of the fish. That's really what you want to watch for. So we're going to use our scaler, trusty chef's knife. You know I don't leave home without it. And then actually a nice big pair of kitchen shears. So those are the tools that we're going to use today to clean our Vermillion snapper and get it ready to roast whole in the oven. So when you're scaling, woo, watch your face. Sometimes it's good to wear eye protection when you're scaling a fish like this. And if you don't want these scales to fly everywhere in the kitchen, you can do this in the sink. If you just actually put it down into the sink, you're going to create a lot less mess. And actually, if you run the water gently over top, the water will keep those scales down. But for demonstration purposes, we're just going to scale this wide out in the open so you can see the entire process. So the scales on a fish are very similar to the shingles on your roof. They overlay just like that. So to get them off, you're going to go against the grain. So starting at the tail, working your way up, not putting a lot of pressure on that fish, just using the teeth of that scaler to grasp those scales, and they'll gently just pull away. Like I said, watch it, because they will fly and they'll get you. In the fish house, when we would scale a lot of fish for restaurants, we'd have a lot of orders on a big weekend or just a busy day, I would go home after cleaning myself up in the fish house, and I'd have scales everywhere. They'd be in my beard, they'd be in my hair, I'd find them in my ears. These pesky scales really, there we go, now we're making it snow. But the cool thing is once they dry, they don't stick to anything, so they're really easy to clean up, so I'm not worried about making a mess. We'll just keep scaling this, get all the scales off. We got the scales on the top of the head here that we want to get off. On the back, right on the back ridge line, and then here on the underneath side. These get forgotten frequently, and this is where you want to be careful that you don't leave those scales, because you don't want to get a scale in a bite. You're taking a bite of the fish, you don't want the scale in there. It's kind of like sand in some herbs. If you don't clean fresh herbs properly and you get that bite of sand in between your teeth, for me, that ruins the dish immediately. So get all these scales off. There you go. And when you finish scaling the fish, just run your hand up and down. You'll be very easy to feel if you missed any. But when you're doing that, be careful, because these bad boys have some spikes right in there. And those are a defense mechanism, but they also will stab your fingers and they hurt real bad. So be careful anytime you're using your bare hands on the fish. They like to say on the fish house, that you can pet a fish from head to tail, but never pet a fish from tail to head, because that's when you're gonna get stabbed. So when you have all the scales off the fish, it kind of looks like velvet. It's kind of fun to play with. You can brush it and it looks one way, brush it the other way. It kind of changes the look. Because this is a commercial setup, I have access to really nice water, so this makes cleanup really nice. Always keep a nice clean station. Scaled Vermillion snapper, but we want to trim these fins off. We don't want to roast them with this. Not only are they going to kind of crisp up and not be very appetizing looking, but like I said, they're dangerous. You wouldn't want that sticking in your hand, and you definitely don't want that in your mouth. So we're going to trim off the top fin using our scissors, just like I'm cutting construction paper in elementary school. Just trim that right off. If you're careful, I ripped it. I was going to say if you're careful, you can get it off in one shot, but looks like I counted my chickens before they hatched. So there's the top fin all the way gone. We're going to get the pectoral fins off here as well. And they just trim off real easy with these scissors. If you don't have a pair of scissors like this, you can use a knife as well. We've got these bottom fins that we'll trim off. This one. And then the last fin that we're going to trim is just this bottom fin. Again, because it's going to get not very pretty looking once you roast it. And there's also a couple of spikes there on the bottom side. So we'll flip that over. Trim that off, and there you go. I'm gonna leave the tail on because the tail actually looks really nice as a presentation on the plate. And I'm going to take the head off. Some people like to leave the head on. There's a lot of great flavor in the head. For me, I like to cut it off just visually, plating wise. It's a little nicer than to have the entire head there on the plate. But let's say we weren't going to take the head off. We were going to roast this whole with the head. We were going to take these gills out. So you just pull those gills right out, just like that. And it gets a little bloody. It's okay. Have some water nearby, but they pull right out. And that's the gills of the fish. They pull right out, and you're going to have a nice clean cavity like this. Come back in with your water. Spray all that out. And we have a really nice, clean, beautiful vermilion snapper ready to roast. We're going to take the head off of this one just for plating purposes today. And the bone structure of this fish go just like this. So the skull is right there. You can hear it. So we're going to take our knife and we're going to cut right down here, and we're going to match the cut just on the other side. We want to preserve as much meat as possible while eliminating the head and all of the bones. So with our very sharp knife, we're going to slice right in there, go all the way down through, and take till you get to that spine. And you've watched us cut enough fish here on the show till you understand the anatomy of the fish and where the spine is and the rib bones. And if you haven't seen us do that, please go back, check out those past episodes where we slice and dice and fillet up these fish. And while you're doing that, like and subscribe, click that bell icon so you never miss a bite here on The Hook. We always keep you informed of what's happening here on the Grand Strand. So there's our head. Don't throw this away. That's sacrilegious. Do not throw this away. You can freeze this, put it in a Ziploc bag, throw it in your freezer. You can freeze it and make a really delicious stock or soup, whatever you like. That is culinary gold. So we'll set that right off to the side. The fins and the gills, we'll drop that down. That will go into the waste bin, and we will not use that. So one more last rinse on our fish, and there you go. Perfectly cleaned, prepped, ready to cook vermilion snapper. Let's head back over to the stove.
Beach easy.